Chelsea Myers, and today I am rejoined with my friend Gary Bird. Gary, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's so good to see you. We haven't talked in a while, so I'm super excited to catch up with you and hear about your journey and just what's been going on.
Yeah, thank you. I know, like the pre-show, I was like, this is great, virtual tea. So, how
Yeah,
are things
yeah.
going, Gary?
Good, good. Things are going good. The world seems like it's melting down around us, but I'm having a good morning and I got food and water and everything's going good. So, had some coffee this
Yes.
morning.
Yeah, I found this amazing tea actually. It's red tea. I'd never even heard of red tea, but it was on the shelf at
Hmm,
and I mean virtual
never heard
shelf
of that.
at Whole Foods. Yeah. And it's amazing. Got like a whole bunch of great reviews, which of course I was drawn to. And so I was like, well, I got to figure out what this is all about. It's vanilla red tea and it tastes very vanilla y. It's amazing.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
Yeah. Got to try it. No
I'm gonna
caffeine
try
though.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can live with that. I get enough caffeine from other sources.
Very good. Well, hey, I'm super excited to have you on the show. The last time we were talking, we had a really positive response. One of the major takeaways was the difference between brand building and lead generation marketing. And so
Hmm.
it actually sparked some really interesting conversations. So I appreciate you coming back today so we could talk about some additional things that transpired from that conversation.
100%. I'm super stoked to have talk through this. The topics that you selected are really good, especially the last one.
Oh, do you want to go backwards?
No,
Okay, so there's a
save
really
the
great
best for
topic
last.
that we'll get to at the end. Yeah. Um, but one of the first things that I have on my question list here, and I think you could speak to really well because I've seen over the last year you're all over my social media actually. I feel like as little as we talk, I know you really well and everything that's going on in your life.
I get that all the time. I have people literally stop me, and they'll be dental conferences and stuff like that
Yeah.
usually, and they're just like, "Gary, da da da," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm supposed to know this person," and I'm like, I don't recognize their face, I don't recognize their voice, and I feel so. I always that's like a big fear of mine is like forgetting names, forgetting people, and I'm just like, I don't want to seem rude or condescending or any of that kind of stuff. And then they're like, "But we've never met before. I consume your content," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." I have that happen all the time because I'm just literally I've been working with some people that help me create content, and they're just like, I'm constantly spilling my guts online. So some of it's good, some of it's gotten positive feedback, some of it's gotten some negative feedback. So that's
Eh.
kind of how the game works. Yeah, anytime you talk about anything, if it's any if it's of any value, half the people aren't going to like it. So that's just the way that it works.
Which is good because then you're taking a position. I feel pretty strongly about that.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta, yeah. If everybody likes what you're posting, like if you post a selfie and everybody's like, that's beautiful, that's great, but it's not going to do anything, right? Like you need
Mhm.
people to be like, no, this is horrible, or yes, this is great. And then the more polarizing it is, the better it does.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're like me, we both have bushels of children. And so what's really cool is back in the day when you have to be like, let me meet that other parent and see if I'm cool with you going over there. The parents can just hop on TikTok and get a good feel for who and what you are and then send all their kids over to your house, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I had somebody yesterday, yeah, that I didn't even know consumed my content, and there's somebody I related to, and they were like, "Why'd you say it this way? Yeah, that's not true." And we like are literally debating, and I was
Oh,
like, honestly, yeah, it's fun though. I try to keep it lighthearted. I don't go into like deep topics, but just stuff that I'm interested in.
yeah, no, I love it. So, okay, so here's the question. Do you think it would be advisable for a growing business, whether that's a solopreneur or a small DSO? Is it important that somebody in that practice or organization is on social media?
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. This is not a simple question. If it was simple, then everybody would just be like, yeah, but there's a reason that nobody or very few people have figured this out.
Okay.
And there's several different layers to it. Number one, most dentists don't like to be on social media. They just
Hmm.
don't. They're not
Hmm.
forward. You know this. You work with a bunch of dentists.
Right.
They're for the most part, they're not forward facing people, meaning they might post occasionally and stuff, but they're not like sitting there talking to the camera and posting videos all the time. That's just not their personality typically. So, who's going to be the face of your company is the first thing that you have to decide. Now, there's a reason, Chelsea, that I'm the face of my company and you're the face of your company, right? We both have
Right.
teams, but we don't put our teams as the face of the company because number one, they probably don't want to do it. It's not what they signed up for. But then number two, they're probably going to leave eventually, right? Like, and
Right.
not because of bad or good or any of that kind of stuff. Just that's just the likelihood of life. And so now you've built this brand around this person, and they leave. Now what are you going to do? And so that can get really, really sticky. So usually it has to be the owner, somebody has major skin in the game that is going to be the face of the company, and you want that because they're going to be very careful about what they say.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy. Well, everybody wants to go viral until they go viral for the wrong thing. If you go viral for saying the wrong thing, it can wreck. Like, there was a dentist one time. I don't even think this dentist posted on social media. He went out and he hunted a lion, and he killed some lion that's been around for like forever. And he had to, and it went around on social media, and he took a picture with it, and they had to shut down his practice. He had to shut
Oh,
down his practice because of the negative attention that it got. So
yeah.
you never know. You got to be very careful. I'll just say that. So now, okay, so now you say, okay, well, I will be the face of the company. Yes, I want to do it. Now you have to decide how much time you're willing to invest into it. So, yes, I post on social media a lot, but I'm literally spending 8 to 10 hours a week creating content
Mm-hmm.
constantly. I have 4 podcasts. I'm always going on someone else's podcast every week. I'm on yours right now. And then I'm also having filming sessions with people and constantly creating content and then trying to reiterate and change that content. So you got to be willing to do that, even if you have professionals who are helping you.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really key. The next phase is, now, do you want to build your personal brand, or do you want to build your dental brand? I really believe that you should probably build your personal brand over your dental brand. And here's why. Most of these groups and DSOs don't have one brand.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Mm-hmm.
you're going to go in and say, well, I'm going to build our brand, you have to go in and think about each brand and how it's being represented and say the name of the company and all those kind of things. And it's very hard to grow a business page. It's very, very hard. That's one of the hardest things to do because it's kind of soulless, right? Like, it's just people, we don't like, think about like some of the biggest companies that we use on a daily basis. Tesla. If Elon Musk sold Tesla today to whoever, just some nameless person who had a bunch of money, would you feel the same way about Tesla? Would I feel the same? No. Like, I would be like, I'm really curious what's going to happen here, because
Right.
because Elon Musk is the face of Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
Apple, so it was Steve Jobs, even though there wasn't social media and those kind of things. Like, he built his personal brand so that we understood that his personal brand was connected to his company. And there's tons of other examples of this in the market. And so I'm a big believer in building your personal brand, but you have to realize that it's branding, and the ROI is long term, not short term. If you get on
Right.
today and you start posting 20, 30 times a day, it might be years before you get an ROI from that time investment. And that's hard to do when you're trying to grow an organization, because you could have used that to really increase your top line or bottom line in a lot of different ways. So you have to strategically think through that. There is no easy, like, oh, I'm just going to put in this key and turn it, and then I'm going to be famous online. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
work that way.
So the recommendation is not yes or no. It's be really, really clear on why you're doing it, who's going to do it, what that messaging is going to be like, and how you're going to schedule that out.
Yep. And time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it best use of your time? So should you be investing, growing your personal brand and spending 5 hours a week on it and really learning it and getting in? Even if you work with professionals, you're still going to have to spend time, like a lot of time, even if they're editing. Like, the time I spend, it's just filming. I don't do any of the editing. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. So this is just me, just creating content all the time. Could you have used that time in a different way to grow your business? And probably early on, the answer is going to be, yeah, you could have. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying you got to really think through those priorities.
Yeah, no, it is tough stuff because I know that when you started doing it, I was very inspired. So I started doing it. And I got to tell you, it is not easy.
No.
And beyond not easy in the time, it's like maybe it's just me overthinking it, but it seems like there's just a lot of things to think about. And
You're not. It took me a year. I thought I said, okay, I'm going to post 5 times a day. And I
Mhm.
just thought I was just going to, like, okay, cool, we'll get this off the ground. It'll be really fast. Nothing's further than the truth. They're just the infrastructure of filming and having somebody else post it.
Yeah.
Just that building that infrastructure, that project management flow was a beast. And then I had people who I was hiring to help us build all that stuff too. And it was still like, wait, what should I post on my personal brand? What should I post on my company
Yes.
brand? How often should I be posting? What should I be talking about? Should I be and then it's not intuitive either. So everybody's knee jerk reaction is like, if you go to my personal brand, you'll very rarely hear me talk about SMC.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely you'll hear me say, "Oh, you should go check out SMC." And the reason for that is no one cares. Like no one wants to go to no one's going to social media to just scroll through videos and watch them and go, "Sell me on your company right now." That's not how it works. What
Mm-hmm.
you have to do is you have to find something that you love, that you're passionate about, that is in with arm's reach of your company and that your clients also care about. So for me, I talk about marketing, entrepreneurship, work life harmony, and my family, and those kind of things. And why? Because they matter to me and I can talk about them a lot. And number two, I know all my clients are going through the same exact things.
Right.
So now they can relate to me. They go, "Yes, I go through that too. I'm going through that same thing too." And so because of that, then there's a relation. And then when I say, "Oh, by the way, I do dental marketing," cool, out of the millions and millions of views that I get every single month, some of those are dentists. And then they're like, "Oh, he must know something about marketing because he's getting views." So then they punt down the road to SMC. And that's why it's branding and there's a long-term play, less so about the short-term ROI that you're going to get from it, because you're not going to get the short-term ROI from it.
And that's such an important conversation because, and I think when you and I first met a few years ago and I was trying to describe to you, okay, here's what I'm trying to build and here's what I do, I think it probably took an entire hour to explain that. And now it's very simple. But the premise of what I do is leadership is relationships. And that's got to be first a self relationship. And then you have relationships with the people around you, right? And so that concept in and of itself is what you're describing. You're saying nobody cares when they come to my personal brand about my company or about, how much money we made last year. They care about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I think that's got to be really understood if you're going to spend any time doing anything, because I mean, in truth, there are like thousands and thousands of dental offices, right? And so, yeah, you can spend all of this time doing that, but there needs to be a really unique reason and a really unique message that you're sending. And it's not going to be about the new technology in your office, and it's not
Yeah.
going to be about the new service that you guys are offering.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless it's like behind the scenes or something like that. But to your point, it's people have to care about it. And then also the other thing, you have to be passionate about it. If you're not passionate about it, you're not going to be able to last the grind. So if you're just like, "Yeah, I'm just going to talk about this. I'm going to be a comedian and just make everybody laugh," but you're not really passionate about doing that, um, good luck doing it, because it's going to be a grind.
Right, right. Okay, so similar venue. We're still online here. It is. I don't think it's any secret. It's not hard to hire a company to help you get 1,000 5-star reviews. Which, when I'm Googling something, especially if I'm in a hurry, the first few that I see with a lot of great reviews, that may pique my interest. The concern is the lifetime value of our patients is not that first, it doesn't stop with that first visit. We want to hang on to them, right? And so the question is, how do we, as important as reviews are and putting focus there, talk to me a little bit about matching that, what we're seeing online, with the experience people actually have.
Yeah, that's such a good question. So, do you use Amazon? Obviously, right? You use
Yeah.
Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this is a big problem on Amazon, because what ends up happening is you'll go to get a product, right, on Amazon, and there'll be thousands and thousands of reviews,
Mm-hmm.
5-star reviews.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
go to Amazon, you're going to buy a vacuum. Okay. So you have 5,000 5-star reviews. So, and we didn't talk about this before, but I want to ask you. So if they have 5,000 5-star reviews, what are you going to do from the review standpoint? What do you do?
Well, me personally, I get a little
Mhm.
curious.
Yeah. But what do you do? Like, how do you then research it to decide if
Oh,
you're going to
it's
buy the
very time
vacuum or not?
consuming actually, because then I feel like what I do is I want to know most recent, because sometimes what I see is that like the first, 1,000 products get amazing reviews and then they start to change quality according to reviewers.
Mhm.
Um, and then I also try and make sure that they're written in a way that sounds like maybe a human wrote it
Mhm.
and a human I relate to wrote it.
Yep. Yep. And so you're looking for human interaction,
I'm
right?
looking for
So
validity. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so what a lot of people do, and you'll probably say, "Oh yeah, I do this too," um, is they go to the negative reviews and they
Oh,
go,
yes, I do that too.
"Okay,
Hmm.
okay." So we go. So if I have 5,000 5-star reviews, that's awesome. But I'm not going to read all 5,000 of your 5-star reviews. I don't even
Right.
care about those. I'm going to go read your negative reviews. And then what you do is you take the negative reviews and then you say, okay, does this problem matter to me? And then how did the company deal with it? And so what happens is that you go in. So if you're buying a vacuum and there's 100 bad reviews, you're going to go in, and if every bad review says they sent me the wrong color, but I love the vacuum,
Hmm.
that you're still going to buy the vacuum, right?
Right.
If every review says the vacuum blew up and almost burnt down my house, then you're not going to buy the vacuum,
Right.
right? If that's those are the extreme polar opposites. Let's pick something in the middle. If someone says, "Hey, I ordered the vacuum. It was supposed to be here 2 weeks ago and I haven't got it yet." And then within 24 hours somebody gets on there and says, "Hey Chelsea, we're so sorry about this experience. We have issued you a full refund, and we're still going to make sure that that vacuum gets to you. Thank you so much for being a loyal customer. We just want to make sure that you're taken care of. Let us know if it doesn't come in the next week."
Right.
You instantly trust that brand. You go,
Hmm.
"Oh, if I have a problem, they're going to solve it." Right?
Yes.
So what I tell everybody is that when you're in a market with thousands of reviews or hundreds of reviews where everybody has hundreds of reviews, it's
Hmm.
actually your negative reviews that become your most powerful reviews. Now, dental's a little bit tricky because you actually can't talk about anything in the customer experience. Meaning you can't say, "Oh, that's not true," or "That is true and this is why," because of HIPAA.
Hmm.
So all you have to do, it's so simple. All you have to do is not get mad, not get emotional. It doesn't matter if it's a true review or a fake review. It doesn't matter if the person's a complete psycho or totally just your team totally dropped the ball. It doesn't matter. You're just going to say, "Hey, listen, Chelsea, we're so sorry that you had a bad experience. That does not meet up to our insert mission statement. We strive to insert what your goals are, and then please reach out to us right away. Susan, our front desk manager, is expecting your call. Here's a direct line to her. We're going to make sure to make this right with you one way or another." If that's all you do, and you do that on every negative review, what's going to happen is people are going to come. They're going to see you have 500 reviews just like everybody else. They're going to go down to the negative reviews, and then instantly trust is going to be built because they're going to say, "Oh, they get it. If I have a problem, they're going to take care of me." And if you go on there and you're ripping people apart or you're suing, I've seen dentists do this, suing people for negative reviews, you will be like, it'll hurt you. It'll just cause so much pain. But if you just deal with everything in a way of, I'm not so much responding to the person just for the person that I'm responding to. I'm responding to the person for the thousands of people, if not tens of thousands of people who are going to look at this over the next couple months. If
Hmm.
you think that way, then you'll win every single time.
That makes sense. And it actually matches Trey Lawrence, the general counsel for the AAO, was on the show a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about the importance of having almost a script for handling negative
Yeah.
reviews.
Yep. It's just a script. I literally gave you our template of how
Yeah.
to do it.
And I think, there's a human aspect involved here because you're talking about dentists and specialists who are some of, the most high performing and intelligent people, right? And their careers have been built on a history of doing things right and perfect
Mhm.
and really, really accurately. And so it can be, when you just consider the people component and the human element here, it can be really frustrating and it can be really um, anxiety driving to get a review that suggests you're not doing things right, especially if you disagree.
Yeah, well, that's from a perfectionist mindset, and you will always be miserable and fail if you approach things with a perfectionist mindset. Number one, there's no such thing as perfect. I know a lot of dentists try, and that's probably why they are dentists, is because they you can control so much of the situation. But if you are in that mindset, and I've been there myself, and when I got started early in business, I thought everything had to be perfect and everything had to come through me, and I had to check every nook and cranny of everything. But I realized that number one, there's no such thing as perfect on earth, right? Like there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing, everything is flawed, right?
Right.
And number two is that I was actually stifling other people from actually being great. And then the other thing is someone told me this one time. They said, Gary, you could go to Central Park on a hot summer day and give away strawberry ice cream and say free strawberry ice cream, free strawberry ice cream. And it's only a matter of time until someone's going to come and complain that you don't have vanilla or chocolate. It's going to happen.
Right.
And so
Right.
you're never going to satisfy 100% of people. It's impossible. There's going to be people who don't like what you do, why you do it, how you do it, and that's okay. And then you have to treat those people very very kindly and love them and be nice to them and say, "Hey, we get it and we want to try to make it right for you." Even if it means just giving back their money. Who cares? Like just get that person, it's one person, right? And what we do a lot of times is we try to operate off a principle of like, no, I did the service, and it's like, okay, you can
Right.
do that, but now you have a crazy person online going after your business. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth the time, the energy. And if you think this way, if you approach this review thing and just business in general, you'll be way further ahead and be much more healthy and happy in your life.
Totally. And I think it's just a testament to the importance of doing your own inside jobs. Um, I need to validate my own work. I hope you like it. I hope it's a good experience, and I hope we can talk about it if there's a miscommunication there. But ultimately, I'm not looking to you to validate me for my work before I feel good about it. And what I'm hearing you say is, if you have to choose between being a perfectionist on, you know, your work or being a perfectionist on how you handle a negative review all day long, because that's going to save you a lot of time and energy.
Well, it also impacts more people.
Right.
You
Right.
can only do one dental treatment at a time perfectly, right? Or what we were aiming for, perfection. When you respond to the dental review perfectly, the negative dental review perfectly, you just touched thousands and thousands and thousands of people. That's going to allow you to do more of the dental treatment that you really want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really love that. Now, how important do you feel like it is? I just realized I had a question over here. How important do you feel like it is that the entire team or organization is aware of how to handle these things, both the negative reviews and your overall marketing strategy? Like, what message we want to send to the community?
Yeah, you have to have alignment on your values and how you handle things and how you treat people. If you treat your employees like trash and then you try to go and have this like lovey-dovey, hey, so sorry, we're going to make it right for you, and then you're yelling and cussing at your team members in the background, it's probably not going to fly really well with your team. They're going to look at it and just be like, this guy's a joke. This person's a joke. So yeah, you got to have alignment on your values and how you treat people, how you treat each other, and it has to be real. There's no way to fake it. Like you can fake it for a little bit, but long term, people are going to know how you are and how you treat people, and that at the end of the day is going to reflect in how they treat the patients and those around them.
100%. I have two different doctors, same organization, two different practices, very different environments, and they're both okay. They're both doing great, but we hire from our values, right? And we hire from what's important to us, and we fire from those same things. But if there's not alignment, you never know which person in the office is going to be that touch that someone's like, "Hey, something is off here." Either it's overtly uncomfortable, um, or it's enough to make them. People are already in a little bit of discomfort and a little bit of anxiety coming to the dental office anyways. And so I know personally, I have fired offices before I ever walked in the door because of my experience on the phone. Um, Other people have different, whether it's the treatment planner or the recare appointment, it doesn't really matter. All of those touches have to be consistent with that message that you're sending out, that reason that they originally walked in the door.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And really the way I think about the front desk, and I have a lot of strong opinions about this because my my business cannot be successful without the front desk. I've never ever have been more successful than someone's front desk
Hmm.
ever. So I am very, very passionate about this. And the reason for that is because our marketing agency is top of funnel. So we're up here. And then next down below that is the front desk. And then there's operations and then there's clinical, right? So yeah, we want to support clinical and get them all the patients that they want. But if their front desk can't answer the phone because they don't have enough time, they don't have enough team members, they don't have enough, resources, they don't have enough training, then we lose as a company. And then it makes us look really bad too. Like usually we are the one, it's easier to blame an outside marketing company than it is in an internal system or process.
Right.
So this is something like we're so diligent on is the front desk, how they're performing. Do they have the resources? We ask two questions. Do they have the capability and do they have the capacity? And they need to have open schedules. They need to have the time to actually answer the phone, which unfortunately right now in the dental industry is not common. Right now, the average unanswered call rate during business hours is 35%.
Wow.
So that means if you spend $10,000 on market, I say this on every show, everywhere I talk about this. If you spend $10,000 on marketing a month, $3,500 is going unanswered.
Oh my goodness. So what's the solution?
Well, you have to get well. There's a couple different problems. There's an systemic problem, and then there's like an easy fix. The systemic problem is this: front desk is the lowest paid position in most dental offices, but yet they're the sales team of the office.
Right.
Okay, so normally in normal organizations, in my company, your company, usually the salespeople are the highest paid people,
Right.
right? Like,
Right.
and when you get a good salesperson, you don't ever let them go for any
Hmm.
reason, and you don't move them for sure, right? Like you
Right.
just this is where you're at. We love you, and you celebrate them all the time because they love that, right? Well, in dental offices, your frontline troops are the lowest paid, and if you are good on the phones, guess what happens? The office poaches you. So if they're like, "Oh, you know how to talk to people, we're going to move you to treatment coordinator. Oh, you're
Hmm.
really good at getting money, we're going to move you to billing. Oh, you're really good at doing this, that, or the other. We're going to have you do this other thing now." So then you have to hire another front desk person who's young, inexperienced, doesn't have training, and is low paid. And so guess what? You just start that cycle all over again that now this person doesn't know what they're doing. They don't know how to answer the phones. They don't know how to ask the right questions. And so you have to start back over. So that happens at almost every single dental office.
So do
And
we
it's a
need an org chart reform, or what are you suggesting? Are you suggesting, or what if we just like looked at it differently? Would an option be to say, okay, I'm not hiring a phone answerer. I'm hiring a salesperson. I'm hiring how
well
would
for
you approach the situation?
well, I'm laughing because I was on a podcast yesterday with Dee Fisher, and she
Oh, okay.
said, first of all, they're not furniture. So why do we call them front desk? Like nobody else in the office nobody else in the we call them hygienist she's like we need to come up with a better title first of all
Uh-huh.
because they're
Uh-huh.
not furniture we
Right.
so I was just like, okay, that's actually a really good point. So I haven't solved that yet. I really don't know. um I think it's just being real about what they're actually doing, right? So
Mhm.
that's the first problem. That's an systemic problem though. You everything else I'm going to give you as a solution behind this doesn't solve for that, right?
Okay.
So then from there, you need clear KPIs and clear accountability. So clear KPIs mean, Chelsea, you're at the front desk, you're answering the phones. Here's the thing that I'm measuring your success by. And for us, we measure their marketing conversion rate. Not all new patients, because I don't care about all new patients and I don't care about all patients, meaning we care about them, but you're going to convert 100% of those pretty much no matter what. If an existing patient calls in and says, "Hey, I need to schedule a hygiene appointment," you're going to be able to do that pretty much
Mhm.
cold turkey. We
Mhm.
could put you at a desk today and teach you how to use the software and you'd be good. Same with patient referrals. But the marketing patients are hard. You have to actually have skills to learn how to convert those, or else you lose all of them. And so we like to measure that KPI. And then we also like to measure your answer rate. How often is Chelsea actually answering the phone during more normal business hours? Now, if you're not answering the phone, that's usually on the leadership. That's a lead that I haven't provided you enough time. or there's too much volume for one person to handle it. And then what happens at the front desk is you're being pulled in a million directions. So you got to check people in, check people out. People are asking you for things. You're usually dealing with billing questions, doctors asking for something, and the phone's ringing multiple times during that same period. Well, guess what? One's going to get the short end of the stick. It's going to be the phones. So I
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to identify that as a leader and say, I haven't set this person up for success because I haven't prioritized what I want them to do. Because what are you supposed to do if you have somebody who's checking out and the phone's ringing? What are you, like literally? What do you want them to do?
Right.
So do you want them to not answer the phone, or do you want them to check the person out? Probably check the person out. So now that means someone else has to answer the phone then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those getting clear on that, and then from there, there's outsourcing. So outsourcing has been huge. You can basically for a couple $1,000 get a full time 40-hour a week person. You don't have to pay payroll taxes. You can outsource it through VAs, and that works really well. And if you have proper training, we've measured this, and we said, okay, let's train the front desk in the States, and let's get a VA who's going to do it for us, and let's see which one is going to perform better. The one in office will perform a little bit better, but not $5,000 better if you're paying them $5,000 a month, or $4,000 a month. The other one's going to be 1,500, and they're going to be a couple percentage points lower. In not in every case, but just in the cases that we saw, they were a little bit lower on conversion, like literally a couple points, but the amount of money that they were saving made up for it, and
Right.
that's worked really, really well. There's a company called Support DDS, and that's who that we use them, and we'll just say, hey, you need to hire one of those Support DDS team members. They'll find somebody, they'll get them, we'll train them for them, and then we're off to the races, and that solves some of your phone or work bandwidth issue.
That makes sense. One of my clients, they have the ability to, or on their website, patients can just go on and schedule their own appointments. What is your opinion on that? And does that alleviate any of this, or is phones
A little bit.
primarily still? Okay.
Phones is still going to be 80%. So that does alleviate a little bit. Now, where it helps the most, though, and most people don't think through this, is existing patients.
Mm-hmm.
Existing patients are the best for online scheduling because they already know you, they already trust you, they're not going to have any questions, they don't have insurance questions, they don't have pricing
Right.
questions, they don't have any of those questions, and they're going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
So where marketing, you still need a human touch when they're online scheduling. You still need a human touch behind that, saying, "Hey, saw that you scheduled. Just wanted to make sure you're good. Make sure you didn't have any questions." Because they have no connection
Right.
with you. Not showing up to that meeting appointment almost means nothing because no one's connected with them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Okay. Hey, I've got a question. So one of my clients, she works for an organization. And so they handle all of her marketing. And she recently went through a training. I think it was a sleep device training. And she's saying, hey, I think I'm the only person in the area doing this type of service that I know of. And I'd like to get more patients in the door for this type of treatment. But I don't handle my own marketing. So how do I market this service and get more of these patients that I want to see?
Yeah, great question. Okay, so have you ever thought of if when you're having sleep problems, do you ever think, "Oh, I should go to my dentist"?
No.
No.
Now I do because I'm in the industry, but I
Yes.
wouldn't have.
No one does. There's a
Right.
huge disconnect, right? So I'm going to give some examples of other disconnects that we've had in the dental industry to kind of bring this together for the audience. So when invisible braces first came out,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's like, "What in the world is that?" Like, "Oh, and who's that for?" Because before, braces were only for young people because people who were older didn't want to put brackets on, or like they were like, "I'd rather just deal with my crooked teeth than have brackets all on my teeth and all that kind of stuff." So it
Mm-hmm.
was braces were largely for little kids. But then invisible braces came out, but no one knew what it was. So Invisalign came out and invested a ton of money, probably hundreds of millions of dollars in marketing. Now everybody knows what clear aligners are. We all do. We all know what they're
Right.
for. You almost don't even need to market for them per se. You do have to market to create interest, but you don't have to educate. That's the hard part. Education, when people don't know what you're actually selling, that's the hardest thing to market for because you're actually paying millions and millions and millions of dollars just to educate people.
You
So
know what's really
Invisalign,
funny about that? I was making a presentation recently, and I was talking about team alignment, and I wanted an image for that. So I searched the word alignment, and probably 60 to 70% of my images were clear aligners.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Which is crazy because it's fairly new, right? Like it's a new
Right.
thing. And
But they
yeah.
did their
So then
job.
they did their job. So now it's like Kleenex. What's Kleenex? Kleenex is a brand, it's a tissue brand, but we call
Right.
it Kleenex. Invisalign gets the brand. We could say Invisalign, we all know what you mean. It might be one of 100 other brands, but we
Right.
all know what you mean when you say Invisalign. Dental implants then come out, which dental implants have been around for a long time, but no one knew what they were. And then this didn't happen by one company. This happened by a bunch of people in a bunch of different markets, advertising and educating. Now a lot more people know what dental implants are and that dentists can do that, right? So
Hmm.
now it's more common knowledge like, hey, my tooth fell out and I don't want a big gap there and I want a real tooth there. I'm going to get curious about dental implants. Okay. So now we're at sleep apnea. No one, unless you're in the dental industry or the sleep apnea industry, no one knows that dentists help with this. No one, like they don't know. So good luck trying to just slap it on your website and assume that people are going to come to you. So there's two ways you can solve this. Number one is you market it internally. This is probably the easiest way. So what
Hmm.
you do is you create a list of questions that you're going to ask the patient that you can then figure out if they're a candidate to speak about sleep apnea. That's the easiest way. So you're seeing hundreds of patients every single month. Just have them fill out a little questionnaire or ask them why they're sitting chairside. And when they say, "Oh yeah, I do struggle," hey, would you like more information on this appliance? I think
Okay.
it might be able to help you. You're going to
Hmm.
get tons of treatment from that because you're seeing so many new patients. You're seeing so many new people. Just over a year, you're going to be able to do a ton of treatment that way. That's the easiest way because
Right.
you're able to do the education chair side. Make sense?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. If you say, okay, I've already done that, Gary, or you know what, that's a great idea, and we've already capitalized on that, or but I want more, then what I would do is I would then create a separate landing page, a separate social media set of like Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and then I would begin creating content and posting about that on those pages and running ads on those pages, and I wouldn't call it a dental office. I'd say sleep center or something like that. Because then when somebody Google searches and they go, I want help with sleep apnea,
Hmm.
they're because people have that, people do Google that. They're not thinking, oh, I should go to this dentist that offers sleep apnea. They're going to want to go to somebody who's a professional about that particular topic. And
Hmm.
we're not at the place yet where people understand that dentists offer this. Now, I will say this, I'm saying this, take this with a grain of salt because this might change. In 10 years, we might look back and go, oh, yeah, everybody knows that dentists handle sleep apnea now. But that we don't know that for sure, right? Just like the Invisalign thing. No one knew what Invisalign was. Dentists didn't offer it. Orthodontists definitely didn't offer it. But now everybody offers it. So it can change over time.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think that, um, sometimes there are things right in front of us, like you're saying, asking just a few extra questions. I had a hygienist, and she's really passionate about oral cancer screening. And she's like, it is
Mhm.
so simple just when you're already in there to do the screening. But like you're saying, you're already with your patient, just if you're wanting more to start probing that way. And it may even help you refine what you do with that landing page and those social media
Oh,
channels
100%. Yep.
based on those
Uh,
interactions that you have.
Yeah, because the customer is going to tell you what matters to them and why they're curious about it, and then that's what you want to build around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't want
Okay.
to guess. You don't want to guess at their pain points. You want to ask them what triggered this, what caused you to have this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then you build your marketing around that.
Yes. And this conversation, I'm just smiling because this reminds me of our very first conversation. You're like, what's the pain point? It was like that whole discussion that we went through, what do you do? Now, how do they describe it? And it's the same situation here. It's not,
100%.
the technicalities. I don't actually care which machine you're using.
Yeah.
I don't actually
Neither.
care which burr block you've got. I only care that my result is good. And here's what
Yep.
my concern is. Yeah.
People
I
are
love
paying for outcomes. People are paying for outcomes. That's what
right.
they want. They do not care where you like. They don't want to. They assume that you're a doctor and that you're trustworthy. That's already
Mm-hmm.
a given.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Okay, so hey, we promised everyone a really juicy topic, and so um, I went to Chat GPT to ask what I should ask you. No, not really, but I'm curious to know. In a conversation recently, one of my clients was like, "Hey, did you know I can go to a website and just plug in everything that's important to me, and it will spit out a website for me and help me build my brand and all of these things?" That was an interesting conversation, and I don't know if we're there or not yet, but my bigger question is AI and its place in customer service, in marketing, in running our practices.
Yeah, so 100% you can go in and like have it build you code for a website, and you can have it build you an avatar and all those kind of things. Is it going to be the right kind of website to convert? Is it going to be the right avatar to convert? I don't know. It depends on what questions you ask it. And so that's the tricky part, right? So it'd be like saying AI is going to be able to AI right now is able to read x-rays and tell you what treatment needs to be done. Should I 100% trust AI and just do whatever it tells me? Probably not. I probably still want a real dentist looking at it and
Mm-hmm.
confirming that, right? That's the difference. There is that, yes, it can do things and it can do amazing things. But you still, if you're not a professional in that area, how are you going to know that it's actually doing the right things, or even that you ask the right questions to begin with?
Okay, so I've got an organization and I plug it in and I get my information. Is that at all helpful to you? I come to SMC and I'm like, "Hey, you guys do lead generation. Here's what I think I like. Can you tweak it from here and make it work?"
Well, so this is a funny topic because so most o- most offices avatar, so the ideal patient that they want to target, is going to be a female, and they're going to be depending on the kind of treatment that they do. So if it's like pediatric, it's probably a young mom is the
Okay.
main avatar they're going to be, that they're going to attract. If it's GP, it's going to be like a 35 to 45-year-old mom. If it's full arch, it's going to be like a 55 to 65-year-old woman.
Okay.
um, why is it always a woman? It's always a woman because 80% of medical decisions are triggered by women. Whether it's the mom, grandma, girlfriend, daughter, it's something like that. That's just the way that it is. You can see this in the phone calls that come in. It's almost 80% women that are making that initial phone call. That doesn't mean your patient mix are going to be 80%. It's going to be probably about 50-50. But the initial decision is going to be who am I going to contact is usually made by a woman. So if you're a 60-year-old male and you come to me and say, I want a website that looks like this, I'm going to be like, oh, are you trying to attract 60-year-old males? And if the answer is yes, then we should build it around what you like. If the answer is no, I don't want you to like it. I really don't care what you like. I care what your
Okay.
customers like that we're trying to attract.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Is that tricky? Is that a tricky situation, getting people to detach from what they like versus what works?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's you just have to be straight up honest and just say exactly what I just said, and just be like, hey, look, love you, but we're not here to impress you. We're here to do a job to get you more customers. So I don't
Right.
really care if you like the site or not. Do we want it to still encompass your values and what you believe in? And we don't want to go against that. But again, if I'm attracting a 35-year-old mom and you're a 55-year-old dude, I really don't want you to love your website. It's the 35-year-old mom needs to love your website, and those are those are two different tastes. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're so far apart.
That makes so much sense. I hired a guy to help me make some ads for Dental Life Coach, and he was so frustrated with me. I'm sure he was. He handled it well. I would have been frustrated with me because he'd tell me to do something and I would do it. And he's like, "No, that's not what I'm telling you to do." We went back and forth several times. It was, but like you're saying, he knows what he's doing. He knows his craft. I do not. I'm just the mouthpiece of it. And so, yeah, I appreciate what you're saying. Okay. So back to AI though. How about in customer service situations? I flew out to North Carolina and was supposed to go down to Florida. And then there was this gigantic storm wall in North Florida that prevented that from happening. And in trying to change my flights, I ended up having to communicate with a very frustrating AI version of help. So, what place does AI have with customer service in our organizations?
Not a lot yet. There's some stuff that you can use it for. The way right now where AI is at is that you can use it to lighten the load of different jobs that you may have. So, like as an example, having AI review your X-rays for you and point out things, having AI help you write copy for responding to emails, having AI create like flowcharts or PowerPoints or images, things that you want to digitally create, writing social media content.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of things that you can use it for, but it is not at the point yet where you just automate it and let it go. Now, I will say this: since the internet has came out, people have talked about fully automated marketing systems. No one's come close to fulfilling on that. We are constantly working on it of how do we automate this? How do we automate this? How do we automate this? Like we're constantly asking it. And that's all we do is marketing and for dentists. That's it. And it's not there yet. But what I will say, I'll share a really cool story. It's how you
Okay.
could save a lot of time. So I had a dentist and he wants more full arch cases. He's a GP and they're starting to do more full arch. And so part of the sales process with full arch is you have to do a lot of lead nurturing. So you have to like make them feel good because it's a huge decision, right? Like it's a 50,000, 30 to 50,000 at the cheapest, and then it goes all the way up into hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you have to do a lot of work. It's not like GP where it's like, do you want the filling or not? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want the crown or not? It's a much bigger decision than that. So one of the things that we did for them is we created a video. We have them shoot one video,
Mm-hmm.
and in that video, we went in and we said, okay, we want to change out the name, we want to change out the treatment, and we want to change out the time that we're going to meet with them next. And then that one video that doctor shot, we then with AI can go in and change the name, change the treatment that they're talking about, and change the appointment day. And so they make one, and then we upload the person's information into the video, and then it creates a unique video every single time it reaches out to somebody, and it changes the mouth on the video, so
Oh,
it's a
wow.
unique video each time. Yeah. So before it would have took the doctor, you know, 30 minutes every single day. Now it takes 30 minutes one time, and then they're done, and then we can go in and do our part with that video to send a personalized video as part of the lead nurturing. Those are the kind of ways that it's really saving time for like people in the dental industry.
Wow, I love that. I love that. Well, Gary, I've got one more question before I let you go here. Somebody's
Yeah.
asking, um, can I use AI to generate blog content for my website?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
All
Yep.
right. So no,
You
no
still have to
concern about
proof it.
that.
Yeah, no, not at all. It's original content. So you still have to go in and proof it and edit it and things like that. It doesn't take very much editing to I actually tested this today. So had AI write a blog for me, and then I took it and edited it because it's not perfect, right? It's never perfect.
Right.
It's just like, I don't agree with that. Didn't say that right. And I don't like the way it worded this.
Hmm.
I don't like using that particular word. I'd rather use this word. It took me about 5 minutes. It saved me probably an hour of writing time,
Right.
5 minutes of editing, and then I loaded it back into ChatGPT and I said, "Hey, did you write this?" And it said, "No, I did not write this." And the reason it said no is because I made about 4 or 5 edits to it, and so it's now a very original piece. It's not AI written. It was originated through AI, and then I went in and edited it, and now it's an original piece. There's nothing like it in the world.
Very cool. Very cool. So now if I submit that article, will it say Gary Bird wrote this?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's I have this debate with my wife all the time. She goes, "Gary, you're not you." I'll show her a picture that I make with AI, and she goes, "I go look at this picture I made." She goes, "You didn't make it. A robot made it." And I'm like, I don't know about that. And we go round and round and round about it. I don't know that how this is all going to work with like copyright. Like eventually, what could happen? It's kind of like the music industry. Remember when we were kids, movies and music, they'd be like, okay, if you make a copy of this CD, you're going to go to jail for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Remember that? Do you
Uh-huh.
remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore, really, right? They don't stress about that anymore. Why? Because music's everywhere. Like it's so easy to access and it's so cheap now. No one cares anymore. So there's not a big push to protect that. Well, you have all these copywritten books, you have all these copywritten websites and sales. Well, AI can just go scrape all that and write it and make it original, all of it. Like you could tell AI, they don't let you do this right now because it's too big. But if they had a machine that opened up its full capacity, you could go in and say, "These are my 5 favorite business books. Here's my opinion on each of them. I want you to write a new book similar
Right.
to those that take all the thoughts from that, but add in my thoughts to it, and it would be an original book." So and then somebody could take and do the same thing to your book.
Mhm.
So copywriting and all that kind of stuff is going to get really, really fuzzy, just like it did with music and movies, until it eventually kind of, not fully disappears, but kind of becomes like a mood point that people don't really care to even discuss anymore, because content and I think videos will get this way too. Videos will be so easy to recreate with AI, and content will be so easy to create with AI. Why would you even copyright it? Like, it's not, it'd be like copywriting water, right? Like, it's just there and you have it and it's so easy to access.
No, that makes sense. And speaking of AI and videos, I found this really cool thing. And being the face of our business, I found this cool thing yesterday. You probably already know about it and have known about it, but where like I can upload myself, it creates an avatar for me, and then I tell it what to say, and it's Chelsea saying the stuff, but I'm not.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's
It'll be
really cool.
great.
Yeah, no, that's really, really cool. I have one that you can, I have a chat GPT add-on, that you can type in what kind of business you have and
Uh-huh.
where you do that business. And it will build you a full buyer persona on who you should target based on that information. And it gives you
Oh,
like,
that's
it gives
cool.
them a name, the age, the gender, the what kind of car they drive, how big their average, how big their family is, what interests they have, shopping interests. This is all public information. You can go Google about it, right? But it would
Mhm.
take, before it used to took me 3-4 hours to do all that work. Now it's done in 10 seconds.
That is so cool. Well, Gary, what else do you have for me?
Ooh. Um well, you said you were going through some things. Were we going to talk about that, or were we going to talk about that off air?
Off air, off air.
Okay. All right, we'll talk off air. Nope, I think we covered it.
All right. All right. Well, this was great. Thank you so much for being on today. I love having you on, and I know everybody else does too. So I'll let you know what further questions come from this conversation.
Absolutely. I'm happy to come on anytime you want me, and it's really a pleasure on my end. I really respect what you do and love the way that you do it. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Gary. All right.